Your baby has been screaming for 20 minutes. You've tried everything. And then, almost by accident, you turn on the kitchen tap, and silence. Instant, miraculous silence. That wasn't luck. That wasn't coincidence. What just happened in your baby's nervous system in that single second is one of the most fascinating stories in developmental neuroscience. And once you understand it, you'll never look at a running faucet the same way again. Here's something most parents never stop to think about. Your baby spent roughly 40 weeks inside an environment that was anything but quiet. The womb is loud, not loud the way a concert is loud, loud the way a river is loud, constant, surrounding, layered. Your baby heard your heartbeat from inside the chest wall, the rhythmic whoosh of blood moving through the placenta and umbilical cord, the low gurgle of your digestive system, and the muffled bass-heavy rumble of your voice filtered through fluid and tissue. Researchers who have recorded the intrauterine soundscape using hydrophone microphones, the same technology used to record underwater environments, have measured the ambient noise level inside the uterus at somewhere between 72 and 88 decibels. That's roughly equivalent to the noise floor of a busy restaurant or a vacuum cleaner running in the next room. And it was like that every single hour of every single day for 9 months. So when your baby arrives into the world, a world of open air, relative silence, and sudden sharp sounds, something neurologically jarring happens. The auditory landscape they were built for has vanished. The constant layered, low-frequency hum that their developing brain learned to associate with safety, with warmth, with being held by the universe itself, gone. Think about that from your baby's perspective. The quiet that adults find soothing is for a newborn actually unfamiliar, strange, even unsettling. Their nervous system spent its entire formation calibrated to noise, and now the noise is gone. This is why the first weeks and months of a baby's life are sometimes called the fourth trimester, a term popularized by pediatrician Dr. Harvey Karp, who built an entire framework around the idea that newborns are essentially still womb dwellers who happen to be outside the body. Their regulatory systems, their sleep architecture, their stress responses, all of it is still tuned to the intrauterine environment and running water sounds, to a developing auditory system almost exactly like home. When you turn on that faucet, you're not just creating noise. You're generating what acousticians call broadband sound, a continuous spectrally rich signal that contains energy across a wide range of frequencies simultaneously. White noise, pink noise, brown noise, these are all variations of broadband sound. Running water sits naturally in the pink to brown range, meaning it has more energy in the lower frequencies and gradually less in the higher ones. That frequency profile is remarkably close to the acoustic signature of blood flow through the placenta and the ambient rumble of the intrauterine environment. Your baby's auditory cortex, the region of the brain that processes sound, began developing around week 18 of pregnancy. By the third trimester, it was already responding to and categorizing sounds. It was learning. And what it learned, above everything else, was that broadband low-frequency sound means safe. Now here's where it gets really interesting. When a baby is crying and distressed, their nervous system is in a state of sympathetic activation, the same fight or flight response that adults experience. Heart rate is elevated. Cortisol is circulating. Every sensory system is on high alert, scanning for threat. Broadband sound, like running water, does something specific to that activated state. It essentially competes for auditory processing bandwidth. The brain can't fully maintain its alarm state and simultaneously process a rich, complex, familiar auditory signal. The water doesn't just distract your baby. It actively interrupts the neural feedback loop that keeps the crying going. Drop a comment below. Have you noticed your baby calms faster to running water than to music? I want to know because the answer says something interesting about how individual babies are wired. And there's a second layer to this. Broadband sound also masks the sudden, sharp, unpredictable sounds of the environment. A door closing, a phone ringing, a sibling's footsteps. The exact kinds of acoustic surprises that can re-trigger a calming baby back into distress. Running water creates a consistent auditory blanket that smooths out the sonic landscape and gives your baby's nervous system permission to downregulate. This isn't folk wisdom. This is the same principle behind every white noise machine ever designed for infant sleep. The Faucet is just the original version. If this is making you see your baby's behavior in a completely different light, that's exactly what this channel exists for. Every week we decode the science behind the moments that feel like magic and show you what's actually happening underneath. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is a good time. Because what's coming next is the part that most parenting books skip entirely. Here's the part that changes how you think about soothing entirely. Your baby doesn't just have one nervous system response to manage. They have two competing systems. The sympathetic nervous system, which drives arousal and distress, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which drives calm and recovery. In adults, these two systems are relatively balanced and responsive. In newborns, the parasympathetic system, specifically the vagal pathways that regulate heart rate, breathing, and gut function, is still immature. This is why babies can go from 0 to full volume crying in seconds. Their brake system isn't fully installed yet. What running water does, and what all effective soothing techniques share, is provide the parasympathetic nervous system with a strong enough incoming signal to begin overriding the sympathetic alarm state. Rhythmic motion does this. Suckling does this. Skin-to-skin contact does this. And broadband sound, delivered at the right volume and frequency profile, does this. The key word there is right volume. Experienced pediatric sleep consultants will tell you this consistently. White noise or running water that's too quiet won't compete with a crying baby's own auditory feedback. The general guidance, supported by the American Academy of Pediatrics, is to keep any continuous sound machine below 50 decibels at the infant's ear. But in the moment of active soothing, the sound needs to be present enough to actually register over the crying. A faucet at normal flow, heard from a few feet away, typically sits right in that functional range. Be honest with yourself. How many times have you turned on the faucet and genuinely not known why it worked? Drop a 1 in the comments if this is the first time someone's actually explained it to you. And here's the thing that makes this practically useful, rather than just academically interesting. You can replicate this effect without running water indefinitely. A white noise machine set to a brown noise or rain setting delivers the same acoustic profile. A fan on low, a clothes dryer running. The specific source doesn't matter. The acoustic signature is what matters. Broadband, continuous, low-frequency dominant, consistent. Your faucet just happened to be the accidental laboratory where you discovered this. Understanding why running water works unlocks something bigger than a soothing trick. It gives you a window into how your baby actually experiences the world. And it's a perspective that most of us, as adults, have completely lost access to. Your baby is not a small adult having a tantrum. Your baby is a sensory organism, newly arrived in an environment they didn't evolve for, running on a nervous system that's still under active construction. Every cry is a communication. Every soothing response that works is a lesson, not just for you, but for their developing brain. Each time your baby's nervous system moves from distress to calm, the neural pathways that support that transition get slightly stronger. This is the basic mechanism of early emotional regulation development. Repeated co-regulation, you helping your baby return to calm, is literally building the architecture that will eventually allow them to self-regulate. Not next week, not next month, over years. But it starts now in these moments, at the kitchen sink at 2 a.m. This is why responsiveness in infancy matters so much. Not because you're spoiling your baby, not because you're creating dependency, because you are, synapse by synapse, teaching their nervous system that the world is manageable, that distress has an end, that someone will help. If you've ever felt like you're just surviving the newborn phase, like you're not doing enough, not understanding enough, not getting it right, I want you to hear this. The fact that you turned on that faucet and held your baby and stayed, that was developmental science in action. You were doing exactly what their nervous system needed, even before you knew why. Send this video to another parent who's in the thick of it right now, because this is the kind of thing that makes the hard nights feel less like failure and more like biology. If you've made it this far, you're exactly the kind of parent this channel is built for. The ones who want to understand what's actually happening, not just what to do. Subscribe, because this is what we do every week. Take the moments that feel like chaos and show you the science underneath. And honestly, the next video goes even deeper into the world your baby is building inside their own mind. That faucet wasn't magic. It was memory, your baby's nervous system, recognizing the sound of the only home it had ever known. Thanks for watching. The end screen has more videos in the same world. Pick whichever video calls to you. Everyone is built for curious parents like you.